spin is a really helpful behaviour, just as a cute trick, but it's also a great warm-up for agility. If you're doing anything like that, fly ball, get some work in the muscles down each side of their body, so it's a nice behaviour for that. I love it for getting my dogs engaged and using it as a test of whether or not my dogs are ready to work, because if my dog can't do a spin because they're focusing on something, then they can't do anything harder that I may ask them to do. So it's a lovely behaviour for a number of reasons, and it's really easy to teach. To teach it, you're going to have a handful of food and your clicker, or your verbal marker, whichever you choose to use, and you are going to get your dog at your side. I always start on the left, you don't have to, it can be either side. You're going to take a step forward and move the dog around in a circle. You're going to click when your dog is 3/4 of the way round and feed when they're the full way round. So let's show you that again. At the side, round, click, feed. Super. So this is what your behaviour should look like at the end. Touch, spin, yes, good. Without the sit at the end preferably, mate. Spin. Good job. And in the other direction, twist. Good boy. So you can see that they're quite nice, easy behaviours, and you can do multiple behaviours. So touch, spin, 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 spin. Yes, good boy. Pumbaa's not got particularly pretty spins, but they're cute, so that's what I like. Right, now to phase that out, what I want you to do is then start to work on removing the treat. So I had treats in my hand for the whole little demonstration at my side. To then get rid of those treats, I want you to pretend you have treats. So if you're out and about training or you've got a training pouch on, stick your hand in those treats. So I'm going to rummage around in this. No treat, I'm pretending I've got one. Ready? Come on in. Go on. Good. Show him that hand's empty and then feed with the other. Now you notice there was a little bit of a break in between the click and the feed. That's absolutely fine. The use of the clicker allows us to do that. Once you can then lure the behaviour without the food, super, quite easily, then we can start to work on putting it on a verbal cue. So for this, no food in my hands, just the clicker. Ready, Pumbaa? Spin. Good. So to do the verbal, to put the behaviour on a verbal cue, I'm going to say the word, take a little breath, then lure him like I was before. The reason we take a little breath in between the word and the behaviour is that it gives the dogs a chance to actually do the behaviour and predict what's going to come next. So when you taught your puppy a sit, your dog a sit, you probably said sit, and at some point before you could lure it or show them how to do it, they sat and you rewarded that. So they learned that that word means that behaviour. Ready? Spin. That's fine if he does something else. Super. And I can work it in that way. And what we can do now is, this is the same process for either side. So Pumbaa doesn't, I've worked on our spin mostly, I've not worked on our twist an awful lot. So I'm going to have a go at that quickly. Ready? So twist for me is the other direction. Good. I'm going to do 3 reps with treats. Good. Now I'm going to do 1 without. Ready? Ready, come on in. I'm going to feed for position. Super. Good. Good boy. 1 more. Come on. Good. Good job, mate. Ready? Twist. Super. Twist. Good. Twist. 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 Good boy. Right, once your dog has it on a verbal cue, obviously this takes some time. I've been working on teaching Pumbaa to work on the spin just on a verbal cue for quite some time. I've not done it very consistently because it's not something I hugely care about. I've got a whole bunch of other like obedience behaviours or agility behaviours that I actually really need on a verbal, so they've been my priority. But that's the process of how to get it. What we're now going to do is work at looking at how to remove the hand signal. Now, if you work really hard on your verbal signal, you can just say the cue without anything happening. So, for example, Pumbaa down. See, I didn't move at all, so I don't need that hand signal if he knows the verbal signal. You can completely remove this stage if you purely work on getting your verbal cue really, really tight. However, You don't have to, and you can speed the process up by fading out your hand signal. And this is a behaviour I like to practice it on because it's really nice and easy to do so, and it's nice and clear, whereas for some other behaviours, it's maybe not so clear, or your body language is really, really key to the behaviour. So what you're going to do is each time, you can see that my hand signal is kind of a step forward, a big lure, and I do some sort of wrist turn as well. I don't that's just happened. You can, in theory, keep your wrist still. I feel really awkward locking my wrist, so I don't, but if that's what you've done, that's great. And essentially what you're going to do is each time you do the behaviour, you're going to make sure that you're cutting down your movements slightly more. So for example, I'll just do a basic one. Come back, spin. That's what I was doing. And what we'll start to do is start to phase that out. So the first thing I'm going to do is start to phase out my footstep, because that is actually the biggest part of it. So ready, spin. Good. I kept my foot still there. Should have kept him closer to me, so I made it easier on myself. Spin. Good boy. And I don't know if you noticed there, but you can see that he was actually starting to predict the hand movement coming. Spin. Good boy. So that should happen if you work really, really hard on conditioning that behaviour with the word. That will happen at some point, and you can heavily reward your dogs for that. So he actually got a few pieces of kibble there rather than just 1 or 2 for doing that. And that's what will happen if you work on the last step kind of by itself. I want a proper spin where I can, remember, spin. Good boy. That would be my ideal for any behaviour that I want on a verbal cue only. Keep my hands still at my sides, nothing in them. Keep my body upright, so I'm standing normally, and I can say the behaviour and then we'll do it regardless of me moving. You can always test these if you really want to get nerdy about it by facing away from your dogs or facing side on and practicing it that way, because dogs, especially puppies, you'll learn this if you've got a puppy. You teach everything out in front and then we want it at our sides, and the puppies go, I can't do it at your side, I only know it here. So by doing this, that changes the picture, and I'd be looking that way, changes the picture sufficiently for your dog to actually go, hang on a second, I've got to work slightly harder here. So that's a nice little test if you really, really want to push this behaviour further. However, I'm happy for you guys just to be able to stand and say, touch, spin. That's really cute, but it's not the behaviour. So if he struggles, I'm just going to help him out. Yes, good boy. Spin. Good, there we go. Spin. So you can see he struggles with that as soon as I move to the side. That's something I need to work on. But that kind of forward facing, they can do the behaviour, is exactly what I want for you guys to be able to achieve. You can push it further if you want to, and if you're stuck on ideas how to, please let me know.